Hi everyone, my name is Mary and welcome back to Quinn Inc. As you can see in front of me, I have the bat section and I have a wing section. You are correct. We are now going to sew both sections and then I'm going to reveal this big, massive blanket. So the items that you are going to need for this today is going to be pins, a sewing needle, and thread. And don't forget your scissors. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn this big blanket around as best as I can. And I'm going to show you. So this is the bat section right here, okay? This is the bat section right here. As you can see, its little ears. I'll pull it out. Okay, there you go. There's the bat section. So what I want you to do is I want you to roll your bat like this. Okay, roll him up like that until you get down to his midsection right here. And this is the important section that we are going to want. So put him off to the side real quick. Okay, and then let me move my pins out of the way. And then you're going to grab your wings section. Okay, so make sure your wings are facing the right way. So you're going to have this pointed section right here. This means that this is at the top, as you can see right here where my fingers are. And as we work down, pulling the blanket up. This one's very hard. My desk is very small and this blanket is very, very big. This section is going to be your bottom section right here, okay? This little pointed section like this, because the wing goes around and down like this. So we're going to pull this to the side and you're going to find that section right there, that long piece. We're going to connect it to this bat section right here. So those are where the wings are going to be connected, okay? And then of course, always make sure that your ridges are always on one side, so that way if you want these ridges to be on the wrong side, you have these facing upward. So that way when we sew it, we'll flip the blanket, we'll flip it over this way, and then the ridge will be on a different side. Okay, so now that I have these two sections right here, we're going to grab our pins and we're going to pin those two sections together. Okay, there you go. And then as you go down the blanket, I'm so sorry, my desk is really small. Make sure the two ridges are together like this. One ridge is facing that ridge. Okay, and what I would do is I would use two pins, one like this and then one like this. And I probably shouldn't be using black pins because I wouldn't be able to see it. So let's use a pink one. Okay, just like that. So then you have the two pins like that, as you can see, and then you have this green pin right here. Make sure they line up, and then you will sew up there as well, or you will pin up there as well. And then what I like to do is we're going to count the rows for this side and count the rows for this side and then pin in. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so from the ridge you're going to count 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we are on the right path. Sorry. We are on, the right path. So this is row 9, and then this one is also row number 9. This is very difficult when the blanket is so big. So then you will take, let's do a white one, and you'll pin those two 9 rows together so you know those two are connected. Okay? And then we're just going to go up the blanket such as this. Okay? I'll move my camera down, and we'll find the two ridges. So this is one ridge, as you can see, and this is ridge number 2. We want to pin those two together like this. So pin on one side like that, and then pin on the other side like this. Okay, and then I'm also going to count these rows. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, and 4 rows. And then the 4th row and the 4th row in black will get pinned together, so we can keep all these rows together instead of separate. So we know those rows go together. And we are working down the blanket like this. And then the last thing you really want to pin is, you're going to pin it black to blue. And you'll grab pins like this, and we will pin the top black portion right here, and then we'll pin this section right here, and then I will pin this section right here. This is the bottom of our blanket. Okay, and then as we move down, okay, so there's our pin right there. As you can see, sorry, it is going to move the camera whether I like it or not. So as we go up the blanket, again, you want to pin it ridge to ridge. Okay, so I'm going to try and put the camera down, and hopefully we can see this. Yeah, here we go. So this is one ridge, and that is the next ridge. And sorry about that, that is my stomach. If you heard that, it's hungry. Okay, so pin here, and then I'm going to pin, I'm going to use a black one so I'll see it because it's yellow. Okay, so there's the ridges pinned together. And then as we move up the blanket, we are going to pin the black section and the blue section. I'm going to try and move the camera up. Okay, and you will do this on the other side exactly how I show you, just opposite. Okay, and there we go. The blanket is now, fully pinned. And there we go. Now if you'd like, you can also pin this big yellow section as well to help you keep on track with your rows. So we'll pin that too. Okay, so everything is nice and pinned. Okay, and I will turn the blanket to where we'll be able to see it. And because we're going to do a ridge, I believe we're going to, we're going to sew it this way, just like this. And so we'll sew it from the top down to the bottom right here. Okay, so I'm going to go grab my needle and my thread, and we'll get to starting on the sewing process. But that is how you sew the bat's body to its wing. I'm sorry my desk is so tiny, it's very difficult to see. I'm trying to hold the blanket out so you can see it better. Okay, let's take a look. So as you can see, this is the long strip that goes to the wing, and then this section right here, if I can fan it out, this side is the bat. These are like his little shoulders, or like wing sections, okay, where the wings meet the body. And then as we move up, okay, This is all going to be the yellow portion that goes around the bat. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to go grab my needle and thread. Hopefully that gives you a better idea. When I am done sewing this whole section and the whole section of the second wing, I will finally show off the whole entire whole blanket. So stay tuned. I'll be back shortly. Alrighty, I am back and I threaded my needle. Now as for such an occasion, you are going to make a really, sorry, I'm a little winded. You're going to make a really long thread. Okay, as you can see. Mine is really long because you're going to need enough of it to sew all the way down to the very end. Now as before, we're going to take our needle, we're going to look on the top, we're going to move our pin, and we're going to find the very last two stitches. So this stitch and this stitch. And as always, we're going to put our needle right through those two stitches, and I'm going to pull until I get a very nice loop like this. Okay, so now I have a very nice loop, and I'm going to put my needle right through that loop, and I'm just going to keep pulling until, there we go, nice and straight, until this is straight. We're going to go back into that stitches and pull down till we make another loop like that, and then I'm going to put my needle right back through there. Now as such, since this blanket is so big, at the end of the video I will tell you how many inches this blanket is, width and length. Okay, and then we will just start the sewing process. Okay, just like this. Now as with a blanket like this one, I would take your time and go slowly. Try not to space your stitch when you're sewing too far apart. Make it really nice and tight, so that way you have more tighter stitches, and on top of that, it secures your blanket more instead of you having to re-sew this blanket. The other thing I would suggest is when you are done and you get down to the very bottom, grab some more thread and go back through it from the from now, since we're at the top and we're going down, rethread your needle, long thread, redo it again and come back up. That will fully secure this blanket, so that way none of your stitches come loose and you have no more holes. Okay, so this is all I'm going to be doing, and when I am done, actually I will come back on camera when I get down to my very first ridge, and I will show you how to close off. I'm going to sew all the way down until we get to this very first ridge. I will show you how to sew that off and close up that gap. Okay, so I will meet you down there shortly. Remember, go slow, take your time, and make sure your stitches are a little more tight net instead of open. And then we will go back up through and re-sew it again. I'd rather just do that than having to redo it again and later on having to do it because the blanket came apart. And yes, that can happen. Okay. The other thing you can do too is you can also slip stitch, but because you have multiple colors, you're going to have to pick a color that is not going to show through, excuse me, or if you don't mind, pick a color that you like and just start slip stitching. You can pick black, you can pick blue, yellow, green, white, purple, whatever color you would like. You can pick that and slip stitch it all the way down. It will have a nice, neat, interesting little border. Okay, I will meet you down there shortly. Be back soon. Alright everyone, I am back and I made it at the ridge portion. So, I just have a couple more stitches I just have to go into real quick, and then we can close off this gap right here. So make sure your ridges are always lined up. I'm going to pull out the first pin. Okay, so there's my first ridge, and then there's my second ridge, and I'm going to try and keep it as close as I can. And your thread is going to knot. That's the part that's kind of yucky. And then I'm going to go back up through here, and it catches on a lot of stuff that just caught on my desk. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I'm going to pull out that pin. You're going to see stitches here, 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 and here. We're going to go around these stitches so that way we close off the gap. Okay, so I'm going to go back up through there, and as you can see, my thread is kind of knotting. Okay, so I'm going to go up through there, slowly pull on the thread. Looks like it's this one. And as you can see, yeah, your thread does knot. Be patient with it. Pull on it, don't tug. Okay, there we go. Got it to work. Okay, I'm going to pull on it just a little bit. Pull it back. Then we're going to find our stitches from the bottom. If you have to, pull these up. We're going to go back through there again. Remember, slowly pull on your thread. Don't tug. And then you kind of want to pull it kind of tight. And then we're going to go back up through there. I'm going to do it one more time, because this one is more of an imperative one. And as you can see, your thread is going to get tangled. The longer it is, the more it tangles. Okay. And I'm going to go back down through there one more time. Okay. Sorry, I have black yarn in the way. Here, I'll pull up the yellow so you can see it a little better. Okay, and then there we go. And we're going to pull on it, and then that's what it should look like. It should give you more of a closing than an opening. As you can see, I'm putting my finger back there and nothing. Okay, and that is what you're going to do for all three of them. We're going to go back up through there, so that way we can keep going on down the line. Okay, and then I will meet you down at the end. For you, it will be, keeps getting caught on my desk. For you, it will be a few seconds, and for me, it's going to be a few moments. So remember, any ridge that you come to, this is not a ridge. This was just the yarn, so that way we can connect the two. I'm going to keep moving down the line. Here we go. But these ones are ridges. Okay, it's kind of hard to see them, but you can kind of see that they stick out more than normal stitches. Okay, so those are the pieces that we had to sew together in order to make our puzzle. Alrighty. Oh, and also, if you have made it this far into the video, please do not forget to scroll down, hit that like button so I know you're enjoying this video, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel, so that way you can get unique tutorials such as this one and others I will do in the future. And also the next video that is coming out is going to be a plaid cardigan. Yes, isn't that awesome? I'm sure you already saw a portion of the plaid in another video if you had watched them. If not, you will be able to see this one, and it'll be coming out shortly. We will start on the two front sections and the pockets, and then we will move on to the back section, which will be super exciting because that one is going to feature a Marvel character. I don't want to say what Marvel character just yet. I'd like for you to wait until the video comes out. Alrighty, without further ado, I am going to finish sewing this. Sorry, I'm scratching my head. I'm going to finish sewing this, and then I will meet you down at the bottom, and we will try and get this finished off. So this is my first wing that I'm doing, and then I will be doing the second wing section. So it's just as I showed you in the very beginning. Yes, that was a very long beginning, but it was showing you how to connect the wings to the bat. And it's exactly the same because we made them exactly the same. And so you'll just connect them. All you have to do is just rewind the video and see how the wings are connected. Okay, so I will meet you down at the end. Remember, sew slowly because this one is going to be a very long and big blanket, and on top of that you don't want your thread, excuse me, to get tangled while you are doing this. And I will, when I get down to the bottom, re-thread my needle, and I will come right back up again through these stitches and do a double sewing, so that way I know that the blanket is nice and secure and it will not come apart, so that way you can have lots of washings and no problems in the washing machine. Alrighty, I will meet you down at the bottom. See you shortly, and sew slowly. Alright folks, we are nearing the very bottom of our work. I'm not even kidding, this is the bottom of it right here. I sewed the whole thing. Took me about, I'm going to say 20 minutes from recording, stopping, and starting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one more time how to connect those ridges. So that way you have a really good idea, and if you get confused you can see it a second time. Okay, so I'm nearing my ridges. I'm going to pull out my pin, and this time I am going to go in so you can see this a lot easier. I have a few more little stitches to make, and as you can see my thread is getting smaller and smaller. Okay, so we have these stitches right here. Okay, so this stitch and that stitch. I'm going to pull this pin out too. Okay, and we're going to go up through like this. There's that gap right there. We can actually go into that gap as well, so that way we can start to slowly close off the gap. Now I'm not going to jump too far, but as you can see there's a little V-stitch here. I'm going to go right into those stitches right there, right under kind of where the B is, V, and I'm going to pull just a little bit so I know that the next stitch that I want to go into is this one right here. Okay, right where my thread was coming out of. And then I want to pull, and yeah, it's going to get tangled like this, and then pull so that way it closes off that gap. Excuse me, I had a hair right there. And then we're going to try and go in close again. So right where this V was right here, I'm getting kind of close to it because we want to close off this gap instead of having a big massive hole in our work. We're going to push those over and try and poke where they're kind of at, and then pull down. Get my fingers out of the way. Move the thread. Pull down. As you can see, the top is pulling. Now we want to pull so the bottom pulls, and then I wrap it around my fingers and I pull nice and tight, and then I put my fingers behind it, and I want to make sure there is no gap when I pull it apart, my project. So I'm good. I like the way that looks. I'm going to go back up through there, and then I'm going to finish sewing. Okay, and yeah, I had a really long thread, and this is pretty much the finishing portion of my thread. That's all I have left out of that huge long thread. I'm gonna say my thread was at least about 4 feet long. I just kept going and going and going, just so that way I knew I had enough. Alright, enough talking. Let's get this done. And I will show you how to finish off your work. But once I finish off, I'm going to grab some more thread. We're going to start back down at this bottom portion, so where I haven't finished down here sewing. So I'm going to go, let's pull the camera out. So I'm going to start, this is where I'm at. I'm going to finish off my sewing, and then I'm going to sew back around. I want it double, so that way I know we have no more gaps. The blanket is secure, and I don't have to worry about it falling apart in the wash machine. Now you can also do that with the wing section too, and the bat section if you would like. You can go back through and then double sew it. So we sewed it the first time, like right here, and then you can go back through and sew it all the way through if you want to. It's quite up to you. Quite honestly, I did it with one section and then it just took too long, so I was like, nope. Okay, I'll be back shortly. Alrighty, so I am back. This is how much thread I have left, and I am going to want to tie off. And I am going to want to put on some new thread. So I'm going to show you a new way to do this. It's better to do it in the black section, so that way you can actually, you don't have to see your black thread when you tie off. We're going to do something a little different. So here we go. So we're going to go back into these stitches. Okay, you're going to put your finger through this loop. Okay, and you're not going to pull. That's why I want your finger in there, so that way you know not to go back to pull on it and close off the hole. Now you're going to go back through your stitches. We are closing this off. We are tying off. Go back through your stitches, okay, and close off that hole. Now you're going to put your needle through that loop right there. Pull your finger out, and the new loop that you make over here, now you're going to pull up and pull down, pull your needle through, and there you go. And your knot is now inside of your work instead of stuck on top. I should have shown that to you a while ago, and I completely forgot. And then you'll cut off this, and then we'll just tie on a new piece of thread, which I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of needle right here, letting me know this is where I tied off and this is where I need to reconnect. So I'm going to go get my scissors, cut this off, and rethread my needle. Be back shortly. Alright, I'm back, and for the sake of the tutorial, when I threaded this, I made it pretty short, so that way it wouldn't take me forever to make a new knot. And it got caught in the camera. Sorry about that. So there we go. So this is where we're going to tie back on again. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to put our needle through here like this. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to pull until we have that loop. Now I'm not going to go over my work. I'm going to go through the work like this, like if we were sewing, okay? And then I'm going to go through the hole or the loop. And then I'm going to slowly pull. I keep forgetting about this method, and it's a lot easier, plus it hides in a lot of your strings and nobody sees these, okay? And you do want to make it straight so nobody definitely sees it. And there you go. And then you can go back through, so you can go back this way. Find that loop. So there we go. Put your fingers into the loop like this. And I am going to pull out that pin, pull up with my fingers like this. This is a new method, okay? And then I'm going to put my needle right back through there. Try not to poke yourself, and right through that thread like so. Pull slowly so as not to tangle the thread. And now that I have the thread through the new loop like this, I'm going to pull my finger out and pull nice and tight, back and forth, getting it nice and snug in there. And then I'm going to start the sewing process all over again, just like this. Okay, and then I'm going to finish this off real quick. We are almost done. We're getting very close to the very bottom. As you can see, this is the bottom right there. So let me just finish sewing this portion really quickly. And then what we are going to do is we are going to tie off. Now tying off is actually very good. It secures your thread, and then you can just keep sewing instead of having to re-tie back on to your work again and again and again. And yes, your thread is going to get tangled. It does this to me all the time. It's just how it is. And we just untangle it. Be patient with your thread. Okay. Couple more stitches. I'm almost done. Slowly pull on my thread. Pull out this one. Now you don't need to pin your work since you are going back through it again. Okay, and we're going to use that method I just showed you. So we're going to go back through this stitch. We're going to make a loop, okay, just like this, pulling on the right thread to make it taut. Okay, and then we're going to go back up through as if we're going to sew again like this. Okay, and then you can just pull on this thread. Then you're going to put your needle right back through there, pull out your fingers. Don't forget to put your needle through that loop. Hold it until you make a brand new loop. Pull up so the old loop goes away, and then pull down. Put your needle right back through that new loop, pulling slowly, and then it should be nice and good. And there should be a little knot right in there. See it? There we go. And there is your knot right there. Okay? Nice little teeny tiny knot. You're going to pull it nice and tight. Okay? And then I'm going to back out my camera. If you don't like, if you can't feel it, okay, if you can't feel it with your finger, you can do it, you can do that all over again. So we'll just wrap it around, go back into this top stitch, okay? Pull on it slowly while you have it wrapped around your finger. If you don't like it twisted, untwist it. Have your finger still back in there. Put your needle back through as if you're sewing. Pull to close that loop. Go through there, pull out. make a new loop, pull up, pull down, and back through one more time. Okay, and then pull nice and tight, and there you are. You now have a double knot right there. Okay, that way it secures that really nice and tight. Okay, now I don't have very much thread. Now you can also pull your work apart and see if you like the way that looks. Okay, if you don't like the way that looks when you're sewing, go back through the 2 stitches right here. Okay, just like this. That'll close off the gap right there. And then you'll go back through, and if you can't, it's because there's a knot there. You will just start the sewing process all over again. Okay, and you will go down the spine now where you sewed originally. So you don't really have to hold your work too much. Just kind of hold it in place where you had sewed it originally, and you will just sew up. Looks like there's a knot right there. That's why I couldn't put my needle through. So you will just sew up the side like this. Okay, I will meet you at the other end, and then I am going to sew on the second wing, and then we will finish off the video with a big reveal, and I will tell you how big this blanket really is, how many inches, width, and length. Alright, see you shortly. Oh yes, and one more thing. When you get to this portion right here where your ridges are, you can do that loop around if you so please, but because you've already done it, you should be nice and good. So you do not have to, you can just keep sewing through. Okay, I will see you shortly. Alright everyone, I am back, and it's the next day. So this actually took me half of the night to do. So I just have just this little portion to sew real quick. And then of course I also did the other wing. So I finally finished that. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to do the left wing and the right wing. Now the one that we did, I believe, was the right wing, and so the left one is going to have 10 rows on the body of the wing instead of 9 rows like we had counted earlier. Okay, so I'm just finishing up the last few stitches, and then we will tie off, and then I will step away from my desk and we will, I will show you what the Batman blanket looks like completely and utterly done. Now I'm coming back from the bottom up, so we're at the top again. That's why it looks a little different if you see it. Okay, and then one more stitch to go into. I'm going to put my finger through that loop. Then I'm going to go back through like this so I can close off that loop. Put my needle through this loop, pull my fingers out, hold on to it. Sorry, having a little bit of trouble holding on to it, making a new loop, pulling up and pulling down, and then putting my needle right back through there, and then hearing that click. So there we go, and then I'm going to put my needle right back through there like this, and then I'm going to cut off my needle and thread. And I already did the right wing. So it took me most of the night to do, And so I finally finished it, so that way when we got to this point, I would not have to re-sew all over again, because that took me about 20 minutes to do. Sorry, I am a little exhausted. I just got off of work and I just got home and decided to record right away. Okay, there we go. That way this one's ready for another project. So the sewing is done for this section that we were working on, which I believe is the left or right section. Looks like the left yeah, this was the left section, so you will have to do the right section. And that is going to be this, moving the blanket out of the way. So this is the right section, and the one that we did was over here. And this is the left section, because this is one of his or her little ear right there. Okay, so I'm going to pull away from my desk. We're going to see the whole entire blanket and do a massive reveal. And the Batman blanket is pretty much done at this moment, and then I will end the video as I'm showing you how big this blanket is. I'm also going to go measure it really quickly, and then once I come back on camera, I will tell you my measurements. Okay, be back shortly. Alright everyone, I am back, and I'm in my living room right now. So this is the Batman blanket. Trying to do a panoramic view of it. This is how big it is. This is what it looks like. I measured it. And if you're wondering the measurements, from the top right here where the bat is, all the way down to this wing right down here is 79 inches. From the top right here all the way down to right here is going to be 52 inches. So this is a very big, massive blanket. So we're going to end the video. Thank you everyone for watching this. Thank you for watching the whole entire series. I'm sorry it took so long. This is the reason why, and now you know. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and scroll down and subscribe so you can get more unique tutorials such as this one and ones I will do in the future. And also don't forget to scroll down and hit that like button and let me know what you think of this blanket. Let me know if you like it, enjoyed it, had fun with it, actually made it with me. And also, until next time, I will see you later. Alright, bye bye everyone.